Last question for the evening. I just want a Google search done for Aurangzeb. So when you do a Google search, the first is Wikipedia, the second is the BBC article we've been talking about, then there's Britannica, and when we go next, there's Aurangzeb, The Life and Legacy. Could we click on that? So that shows a book by Audrey Trushcke. So let's go back to the search. The one after that, The Great Aurangzeb. Above that, again, it's an article that refers to Audrey Trushcke. So let's go back to the search and go on Amazon.com, Aurangzeb, The Life and Legacy. Again, it's the promotion of the book by Aurangzeb. So on Google, on page 1, when you look for the history of an Indian ruler, at least 3 of the articles refer to Audrey Trushcke, and there are others by other organizations like the BBC. Now, who is this Audrey Trushcke? Audrey Trushcke claims to be a historian, a scholar. So this is a tweet that she wrote some time ago. And let me read what it says. She claims that during the Agni Pariksha, Sita basically tells Ram he's a misogynist pig and uncouth. During the Golden Diya incident, Sita accuses Lakshman of lusting after her and setting up Ram. Now, she claimed to quote a Professor Robert Goldman for this quote. And Professor Goldman, in response to this tweet, said, "I find it extremely disturbing, but perhaps not unexpected to learn that Audrey Trushcke has used such inappropriate language and passed it off as coming from Valmiki. Neither the great poet nor we use anything like such a vulgar diction." So that's Audrey Trushcke, who comes on page 1 of Google, the favorite historian of many people. So I want to ask the panel, Audrey Trushcke's view on Aurangzeb, are they objective or biased? Neeraj, Atri.
Ji, thanks, Amendraji. Nowadays, there is a very, very pertinent question that is asked. The question is, let us say somebody commits a murder, then to protect himself, what is the safest place to bury the body? The answer is on the second page of Google. Because no one ever moves to the second page. Whenever you're trying to find out something, you look at the first page and from there your search ends. Now this tells us, the search that you've shown right now tells us that how the battlefield has been designed. Earlier, the battlefield used to be weapons. Today, the battlefield is shifted. The weapons are Google, the weapons are words, the weapons are search engines, and the weapons are news portals. And in this battlefield, the forces which are on the side of falsehood, this is a prime example of looking at this, that how falsehood is being generated for the gullible viewers. Anyone who does not know anything about Aurangzeb, who has not read the primary sources, the first place he'll go is Google, and there he'll find out that the first 4 or 5 links, all these, if you notice, they're all Western sources. One was from Stanford University, I guess, and others were referring to Audrey Trushcke or her books. Why I'm saying this is, this should ring alarm bells in all our minds, that how falsehood is being perpetrated. And as far as your basic question was concerned, that is Audrey Trushcke's research objective. The answer, as Aabhas and I have already presented, is an emphatic and clear no. And the only single example that should be sufficient for anyone is just run that clip of Audrey Trushcke where she is saying that Richard Eaton has said only 15 temples were destroyed, and she is being very generous where she increased the number. I don't exactly remember by how much, but it was still in 2 digits. Now, Aabhas has already quoted that just look at those 3 pages of Masiri Alamgiri. The one in front of me was translated by Jadunath Sarkar. And if you just look at these 3 pages, page number 116, it says all the 3 temples were destroyed. And in the last paragraph, he reported that 172 other temples in the environs of Udaipur had been destroyed. Move on to page, then the same page number 117, second paragraph. On Monday, 22nd February, the emperor went to view Chittor. By his order, 63 temples of the place were destroyed. Just 2 pages ahead, page number 120. Abu Turab, who had been sent to demolish the temples of Amber, returned to court on Tuesday, the 10th August, and reported that he had pulled down 66 temples. Just 3 pages of Masiri Alamgiri, the most authentic contemporaneous document, tells you that the destruction of temples was in hundreds, if not in thousands, although it should be running in thousands. And yet you have this most eminent historian who is carpet bombed the Google search engines, and she is saying that the destruction of temples was in second 2 digits, and that is also she's being very charitable and magnanimous. That is the level of falsehood and fraud that is being perpetrated on our present generation and future generations. I think that should answer your question.
Thank you, Neeraj. Aabhas, you wanted to add to that point?
Yeah, certainly. So, yeah. So, as far as Audrey Trushcke is concerned, we recently had come across the whole episode of, was she running around Dr. Vikram Sampath's work and talking about plagiarism and whatnot. And this made me curious to go through her books. And she was mentioning that she has, Vikram Sampath is not referring to the primary sources and whatnot. He doesn't know how to do the citation and all. So right now on the screen, one of my articles is being shared where I had spoken about the concern. If we scroll down a bit, then I have put across, can you please scroll down a bit? Yeah, there are certain images from our books. Yeah. So if, this part. So these are the certain pages of a book. So by any standard of non-fiction writing, as a starter and a prima facie, no one can consider it to be even a journal publication, because even when we publish something in journal, a lot of care is being taken to do a citation, whether you are looking to put the notes, whether you are going to put the certain sources or something needs to be there. But all these pages, it's only assertion, but there is not a single primary source. Now, coming back to what Audrey Trushcke is certainly intending to do is you put out that very tweet where she's talking about Sri Ram and Mata Sita and taking the anecdotes from Ramayana and putting her own perspective. Now, it clearly comes out that what exactly her intention is. That one who claims to be an expert on Aurangzeb, the first thing what one would go through is the Fatwa-i Alamgiri to start with. That has to be, because Fatwa-i Alamgiri happens to be also the source for the Sharia law which works here in India. Yeah, and so if one goes through those sources, they will find that as already was quoted by MKG, that it talks about the rights of the Muslim to purchase own slaves and the things like that. So one would also put out the facts about Aurangzeb also in person. Yes, he may have done good things, let's assume it, but also put across that what are the wrongs in the system. So in a democratic country or a democratic setup, we can choose what is good for society and what is not. But when you don't even bring up with the case that what is the complete story about this man, then how will a person be even be able to judge a character or bring a case? Now, if you are fine, you want to criticize Hinduism from certain version of Ramayana, do I completely disagree? It was completely misquoted, misattributed, and things like that. But even if you want to do it, why not the same standard for the other faiths too? It's a direct attack on one of the most pious book of ours, that is Ramayana, and the most pious character. So it is, the intention is very deliberate, just to, because I remember the case where she also talks about the analogy drawing between the Draupadi and the Nirvaya. But if one reads the work of about the Draupadi, and one writer which I quote, cite everyone to read, is the work of Sai Swarupa, where she has done fabulous work to write about a Draupadi, where she has shown that how powerful lady she was. Right, and if I quote one of the most criticized book called Manusmriti, even it celebrates females so much in certain cases. So we don't have any other book from any other faith or something which can really celebrate the female that much. So the point I'm trying to draw home here is this, that you cannot just be selective. Her work is very selective. It happens to be like she's just trying to be one of the court chronicler of the great Timurid prince Alamgir, but perhaps Alamgir must have sacked her because he won't have really celebrated the way she is writing.